I'm here today to talk about motivation. That's something we always wonder, where does this motivation come from? How do we get motivated? I have recently cracked this and I am able to continuously focus on things that matter to me the most. And I'm not able to get distracted. And I thought, hang on a minute, maybe I should do a YouTube video on this and so others can actually benefit. Let's strip it back all the way through the evolutionary process. Firstly, what causes distraction? It's our senses. That means we try to please our senses. Therefore, we reach out or seek that particular behavior. Where did these senses come from? Like God gave us these senses, but then did God give us, or did we have to control it? That God given us? Where does it all start? I studied all the evolutionary genetics and the pathway. So how eyes are formed is when the fish that were swimming, they could barely see any light. Slowly they were able to see either dark light or bright light, and that way they started evolving.
Here's a flatworm's eye view of the world. This multi-celled organism evolved a dimple in the pigment spot. The bowl-shaped depression allowed the animal to distinguish light from shadow, to crudely make out objects in its vicinity, including those to eat and those that might eat it.
Maybe at that point they have asked for eyes because they wanted to save themselves from predators, so they can see, they can swim better, and so on. And then slowly some other species of animals might have asked for a sense of smell because they wanted to smell and go and get the food. That's why you see long snouts for most of the animals. And now we don't smell essentially and go get food, so that's why we don't have that long snouts. But yeah, that's the evolutionary pathway of why God has given them senses of longer noses and so on. And then same happens with communicating and hearing and so on. So essentially along the evolutionary pathway, we have asked God, when I say we, it could be our fish ancestors or our reptilian ancestors, our monkey ancestors or whoever, through the pathway we have got these senses for a basic fundamental purpose. Then God thought, okay, we got to receive, these are like the senses, right? We receive the signal and then we have to store it somewhere and we have to process it. We have to do something with that information that these senses are picking up. That's where he created a computer, a brain, and then he started upgrading it for us so that we have enough information to store. So there you go, that's the memory and these are the senses. So we have the senses and then we have the storage, which is the memory. But there needs to be a chemical transaction that happens between these two, right? Now that chemical transaction is dopamine, and that happens through neurons, the nerves or whatever we call it. So essentially it will all come down to your memory, your transactional chemical, the dopamine and the wires, and then you have the senses. Now think about it. Why did God give us the senses, the brain and the dopamine system? Fundamentally, it's to survive and seek out the basic necessities that we need. Dopamine, when it's produced, you'll feel good. And the feel good part is more to motivate you to seek out that behavior. That means you want food, you know where the food is, and then if the path is challenging, you'll work your way towards that path. And in order to motivate you to get there, that's why there is dopamine coming in. So as dopamine is produced, you'll get motivated to go and get that food that you want. Now I'm again talking very, very basic, right? The basic use of these systems that we have. A little bit of dopamine is produced, we get motivated. We go get the food that we want, we eat it, then dopamine is not needed, right? So it drops down, or we ran out of dopamine. We feel good, so we want to do more and more of it because we are feeling good. Some smart guy thought, hang on a minute, these guys are feeling good for something. Let me identify what that something is and let me make that something and give them more of it so they can get addicted to it, and then that way I can make more money. And then now we started seeking these pleasureful behaviors and we are stuck in that loop. Someone is making money, so they're trying to make it more and more pleasureful, and we are stuck in that loop trying to use up all our dopamine to actually feel good. Think about it. And now we started working against each other in order to have more money so we can transfer that money to someone else because we want to indulge ourselves in more and more pleasureful activities, right? You see, You see the connection there? But the big question is, how do you use this system to create value for yourself and to others? Now, dopamine is dopamine. It doesn't know the difference between any activity or any behaviors that you're doing. And memory is memory, right? So let's say you went and you had alcohol with a friend, and you love doing that. You create more and more dopamine, and that's what you enjoy. So you're using up all your dopamine for that. Now you have very less dopamine left to do any meaningful activities like study, or you want to focus and you want to be creative and so on. But hang on a minute, most of the times we'll be like, oh, once in a while is okay. I'm occasionally having a beer. I'm just eating junk food once a week. How would that impact me? It doesn't really impact me. Unfortunately, it does impact you. How does it impact you? It impacts your ability to focus or to think deeper, or to tap into your memory deeper, to have that much more stronger motivation. Look, if you're happy where you are in your life right now, well and good, you can abuse your dopamine system the way you like. But if you're really preparing hard for that exam and you have to be motivated, you have to be focused, you are creating a project plan, or you have an exec board presentation, all that matters to you right now is just sit and work and focus and get that answer, then there isn't much wiggle room. Now let me explain. Let's strip it back again. Think there is a mountain. On top of that mountain is your favorite food. And maybe think about 3 different versions of yourself. One is someone who is doing the most guilty habit that you are, the habit that you're most guilty about, maybe alcohol or junk food or Netflix binge watching, or whatever activity that you're doing which is helping you procrastinate something meaningful, right? You have to study, but no, you get stuck to TV, binge watch Netflix or whatever. That version of yourself. And then an interim version, which is occasionally I watch or I drink and then I'm struggling, but I still keep up, I try to do things. And then the best version of yourself, which is absolutely killing it, like no addictions whatsoever, you're fully focused and you're doing things that you like. Now on all of you 3, you have to go up that mountain to get that food. There is lots of obstacles, there is lots of trees and stuff. You need good plan or strategy, some people might call it, to actually get that reward which is on top of the hill. Now think of the worst version of you who is binge watching Netflix. Would they take an action to go up the hill and get that? It's a difficult task, right? But you're happy here, you're content, like you don't want to do anything because you're getting alcohol, you are enjoying, and you have no motivation, so you don't move. Just like the scientific experiments which were done on dopamine and rats, where the dopamine is taken off from the rats and the rats didn't move at all. Now let's talk about the perfect guy, the one who is absolutely nailing it. They're very nimble, they go up, they try to find a plan, execute it, because they don't have any distractions. They're able to go and they're able to cross all the hurdles, and whenever there is a huge hurdle to cross, they're able to sit and plan and think. Maybe there is a huge rock they have to move, so they create a fulcrum, because they're focused only on that task and nothing else, right? Now they're able to think deeper, and even if they're taking a break along the way, they are just sitting there and thinking about how should I get there. They're not looking halfway down and thinking, oh yeah, let me celebrate, let me open a bottle of scotch, or let's celebrate because we're halfway there. Now this is all internal. You have to think all of this is internal. Then imagine the guy who is easygoing, occasionally having a beer over the weekends or so, just having some junk food, eating out, and still depleting some dopamine. Will they be able to plan and think deeply as the best version is able to think, or come up with a solution, come up with a strategy, the due diligence? Come on, hand on heart, how good you can plan when your mind is super clear. And now it's been 4 months I haven't had alcohol, I haven't had much of junk food, I've been really focusing on meaningful activities, I haven't been binge watching Netflix, I haven't been watching movies. My focus has been phenomenal. Like, I can't explain. All the people who are trying to make money out of us, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I can give you a few other examples. Think of a car, right? A drunk person versus a sober person. The same version of yourself. Like, if you're drunk or if you're sober, who can drive the best? I mean, I know some of you might comment that yes, the drunk version of me will do the best driving, but that's not true. If that's true, then this whole world would have allowed us to drink and drive. The reaction time is what that gets impacted. That means you can drink 4 drinks, you don't drink, you're more focused, more concentrating, and you can do the best driving when you're not under the influence of alcohol, when you're not when you're completely sober. Now, those three versions of yourself I've said, bring them up, put them on a scale. Idea is that if you want to do a task, whatever that task is, whatever that activity is, you have to give your 100%. If your body is not cooperating with you 100%, you're not giving 100%. You might feel that you're giving 100%, but your ability to recall information or study and retain information and execute the task is diminishing, because all that is driven by your dopamine, your motivation, your focus. And the more dopamine you have, the more unreal your focus will get. You will be shocked. Those three versions of yourself on a scale, the one who is drinking all the time, the one who is indulging in Netflix or Instagrams or whatever pleasure seeking activities, the ability for them to process information, problem solve, is all going to deteriorate. But then if you are on the best version of yourself, then your ability is going to be really good. And if you're doing this occasionally or somewhere in between, where do you want to be? It all depends on at what point are you in your life. If you want to achieve great things, if you want to help the society, then I think you need to reassess where you are at this point of time and think about your habits and how you're using your dopamine releases, and then get to that point where you want to be. The higher the dopamine you have, the more you'll be able to think, the deeper you'll be able to think, and the more you'll be able to focus, you'll be able to come up with the best solutions. Think about all those great scientists. When they go to the depths, all of those ideas they say have come from God, because you will be surprised. Like this whole realization of dopamine and how the dopamine is being used and released, and how I'm able to make this video at the age of 40. I'm fully fit, I have a six-pack, I'm at the best version of myself, I'm making videos, I'm learning video editing, and I'm doing so many things. And all this, I feel like I'm in the depths of my ability to think, and that depth of ability to think is not coming from external stimuli or external forces. Although I have huge knowledge from in all different areas, I'm able to connect them and help solve my problems. So this is it. This is how you stay motivated. It depends on which version of you would like to be, and make those sacrifices to be the best version of yourself to tackle life. I hope this video helps you. Until next time, take care.